Before we start, take a moment to like and subscribe. Imagine stepping outside and realizing the entire planet is wearing a winter coat that's a mile thick. That was the Ice Age, a time of freezing winds, giant glaciers, and massive furry animals. It was a world that seemed impossible to survive. But guess what? Our ancestors, the early humans, didn't just survive. They thrived. They were the ultimate problem solvers, turning the biggest challenges into the greatest innovations. They created an incredible survival kit based on 5 key ideas: fire, fashion, tools, shelter, and teamwork. In a world where temperatures stayed below freezing for months, fire wasn't just nice, it was the difference between life and death. The ability to make and control fire was the first and most critical invention of the Ice Age human. The ultimate heater. Fire created a portable, reliable source of warmth, allowing humans to survive brutal, long winters. They could warm up their shelters and dry out their wet, frozen clothes. It was like carrying a little sun with them. The cooking revolution. Cooking meat and plants over fire made them much softer and easier to chew and digest. This meant humans got more energy and nutrients from the food they ate, which helped their bodies stay strong and their brains grow bigger and stronger. Night light and safety. Fire provided light in dark caves, allowing them to work on tools or draw amazing art even after the sun went down. Crucially, the light and smoke of a roaring fire kept big, dangerous animals, the megafauna, at a safe distance, making their campsites much safer at night. You can't survive a tundra winter wearing just a blanket. Ice Age humans were the world's first fashion designers and tailors, creating warm, fitted, and durable clothing that was much better than anything else in the world at that time. This was a simple but revolutionary invention. Instead of just wrapping themselves in stiff animal hides, they learned to use small, sharp pieces of bone or ivory to create the world's first sewing needles. They used sinew, the tough, stringy parts from animals, as their super strong thread. Tailored clothes with needles. They could stitch pieces of hide together tightly. This allowed them to make fitted clothing like trousers, sleeves, boots, and hoods. Fitted clothes are essential because they trap layers of warm air close to the body, offering much better protection against the bitter wind than a loose wrap. Ultimate insulation. They used a clever layering system. They wore soft, thin hides close to the skin for a base layer, and then covered that with thick, fur-lined robes and jackets for the outer layer. This was the most effective way to keep the wind out and the heat in. Boots and mittens. They used softer leather for tall, flexible boots, sometimes stuffing them with insulating grasses or mosses for extra warmth. Their mittens were simple leather pouches, much warmer than gloves because the fingers shared heat. They were the original experts in cozy winter gear. Early humans knew that hunting a giant woolly mammoth was impossible without smart tools. They moved far beyond simple, sharp rocks to create specialized gear for specific jobs. When you hunt a giant animal, you need force and distance. It was a simple wooden stick with a hook on the end. The hunter placed the end of a spear against the hook. By throwing the otlot, the hunter could launch the spear much farther, faster, and with dramatically more force than they could throw by hand alone. This meant they could hunt massive animals from a safer distance and deliver a powerful enough blow to get through thick, furry hide. Every animal they caught had to be perfectly processed. They used carefully chipped stone tools, often made of flint. For various tasks, flint blades, used as sharp knives for cutting meat and stripping tough sinew. Stone scrapers, used to clean the inner side of animal hides, removing fat and flesh. This was a crucial step in tanning the hides, turning stiff, raw skin into soft, flexible, durable leather for clothes and shelter. This job was very important. They didn't just rely on big hunts, they developed tools for smaller, reliable food sources. Harpoons and fishhooks made from bone or antler. This meant they could fish in icy rivers and lakes, adding essential protein to their diet even when the massive animal herds were far away. You can't just sleep outside in a blizzard. Ice Age people were smart about choosing and building their homes to maximize warmth and security. They didn't just find shelters, they improved them. The perfect shelter was a cave butt. they didn't just move in. Okay. They carefully managed the space to make it livable for a large family or group. Insulating the floor, the stone floor of a cave is icy cold. To fix this, they laid down thick layers of soft materials like animal furs, dried grasses, and mosses. These layers acted like a giant soft rug, insulating them from the cold ground and creating a cozy sleeping area. Managing the fire? A fire inside a cave is wonderful for warmth, but the smoke has to go somewhere. They learned to build their fires near the cave entrance, where the warm air would rise and create a draft, pulling the smoke out. This kept the air inside cleaner for breathing. Dividing the space, bigger caves were sometimes divided into areas, a cooking spot near the fire, a workshop for tool making, and quieter sleeping zones deeper inside where the temperature was more stable. When they lived on the vast, flat plains where there were no caves and no trees, the tundra steppe, they had to become incredible builders. They looked around and realized the biggest resource was the woolly mammoth. Foundation and frame, they gathered the massive, heavy jawbones and thigh bones of mammoths to create a solid, heavy foundation that wouldn't blow away in a terrible storm. They used the massive, curved tusks to form arched entrances and strong support beams, making a dome shape. Windproofing and insulation. Once the frame was built, they created the walls and roof by stretching multiple layers of large animal hides over the structure. To make it even warmer, they would often pack clay, dirt, or sometimes even sod pieces of grass and soil around the base of the hut. This sealed the bottom edge, locked the heat in, and made the hut completely windproof, a true marvel of Ice Age engineering. One person, no matter how clever, could never hunt a mammoth alone or survive a 6-month winter. The true key to human survival during the Ice Age was their brilliant ability to organize, specialize, and cooperate in every single aspect of their lives. The hunters, the scouts, and attackers. These were the people who planned and executed the large hunts, requiring bravery, speed, and deep knowledge of animal behavior. The processors, the tailors, and butchers. This was often the most crucial work. They were experts at using those stone tools to process the animal, carefully stripping the meat, collecting the fat, cleaning the bones, and most importantly, treating the hides to turn them into soft leather and warm fur clothing. The tool makers, the flint knappers, these people were geniuses at geology. They knew exactly which type of rock, like flint or chert, was best for making a sharp blade and how to chip it perfectly to create a specialized spear point, scraper, or needle. A group with great tools survived longer. The educators, the storytellers, this was maybe the most important job. Since they didn't have books, they relied on storytelling and art to pass on knowledge. They taught the young children the map of the land, which plants were safe to eat, how to follow animal migrations, and the proper rituals for the hunt. Deep seasonal knowledge. They had to understand the environment completely. They knew exactly when the herds would arrive, when the rivers would freeze, and where to find roots or stored food like nuts or dried berries, even under deep snow. Cave art as a handbook. The amazing paintings found on cave walls weren't just pretty pictures. Many historians believe these paintings were a way to teach and record information. They show the animals, the routes they took, and perhaps even the most successful hunting techniques, acting like a textbook for the next generation. Sharing the feast. When a massive animal, like a mammoth, was successfully hunted, the meat was divided fairly. This ensured that everyone in the band, including the very young, the very old, and the toolmakers who stayed behind, received the vital calories they needed to make it through the harsh, freezing months. Their ability to share and plan ahead made their community strong. The story of the Ice Age is a powerful reminder that our ancestors were not primitive. They were brilliant pioneers who invented the tools, fashion, and social systems we still rely on today. It's amazing how they used everything around them. Which achievement do you think was the most essential for the future of humanity?